Hello, here's our last lecture of CSCI 465 Smart Things Security. Okay, and our previous lecture we talked about some structures, and then of course I discussed different type of topics, and of course we also cover related to the AI, using AI and machine learning. Okay, we spend like the topic like really focus on it for more details for the threat detection and then how can we emerging all this security technology, right? But this one we just like quickly cover was the AI and machine learning. And actually, when it comes to the quantum computer, like how can we adapt the quantum security to it? Also one part because when we talk about connection, we didn't really focus on it, but actually it's a part of it. Okay, so maybe using the 5G or actually maybe later when they have coming out different and the more advanced, okay, wireless connection, then how can we use it in the IoT security, okay, in the futures, like, and also, of course, we do cover a little bit about autonomous in the IoT, then how can we do it? Nowadays, actually, there's a trend that electric car, okay, so when more electric car, they're using different um devices, like smart things, like help us to like enhance the self-driving. Okay, so right now actually it's almost pretty mature, but right now there's still we have different levels, right? But sometimes we still stay in like level two. Okay, they're just assisting you, okay, to drive. They are not really but they do have some really testing, like in some city. Okay, in some country they do have a really complete self-driving. They have a lot of sense. Okay, or also the how the city are going to be smart. So this we're going to discuss. And but before we move on, actually I also upload another slides. That one is just like for your for extra information related to some like some policy standards like this. But for interested, like, I will quickly go through that one. Okay, but that one is not the main focus. Like because when we learning, no matter which type of topic, okay, when we touch on something security, okay, so we should like do it like ethically correct, and also we need to have some like what the policies then that we have to follow. Okay, that's more important. But we just like go back to here. Okay, when we talk about like why is that we need to emerging all this like technology like when we're learning, because when they goes like expand exponentially, and also maybe like coming billions of device why not deploy like worldwide. Okay, so for those like traditional security model maybe often like inadequate to handle all those scale complexity or sophisticated model of IoT attack. Okay, so there's one of the key idea like address, also like I try to put it in the lecture, is like why try to adding all those new techniques, but we cannot just say based on like pretty old standards or the old architecture to teach, like because we need to adapt to the new technology, or nowadays we using AI machine learning a lot, even the direction or the industry is going to this direction, right? Or something maybe we have the quantum computer. Okay, so we are not using really those like maybe outdated firmware, outdated technique. Okay, and to doing study, or like actually those like security issue already fail. Okay, we need to know, but we need to focus on more what's the new technology, what's their potential. So like then maybe transform the IoT security. Okay, so because when we need to clearly know when we apply new technology, that means that those new technology we have their vulnerability, what's the risk. Okay, so how can we prevent it? So this we mainly learn in this part. Okay, so we apply it, and then we need to know like what's the risk. Okay, so we try to use things like AI, machine learning to power the automated threat detection for response. But we can use the AI and machine learning to doing attack. Okay, so but for the quantum security, so like this one will be the last part we talk about. So it's the really revisioning, saying the encryption and data protection. So in a world like where the quantum computing can be like potentially break the traditional cryptography, because since like it released the reload, the chips. Okay, so really maybe the games already changed. Okay, but it maybe is not yet maybe open to public when not everyone can able to get it. but once we have it, so the processing power, okay, it really changed the game. Okay, maybe you're thinking something it's gonna happen 20 years later, maybe going to happen after 1 year later. So that's why how can we prevent or use it to enhance the security? Okay, and for the AI security, we use it like just like we kept a little bit, we just like use it for the real-time threat detection, so we can analyze the vast amounts of IoT data in real time and identify those like threats. Okay, what's the malware, unauthorized access attempt. Also, we can have some like detect anomaly. Okay, so we can learn some like what's the normal behavior pattern for the device network. Okay, the package. So it's easy to spot out the deviation like that, maybe indicate the malicious activities. Okay. Also, we get some like predictive. You remember we talked about. So we have the predictive and analytics. Okay. So we can focus what's the potential vulnerabilities. Okay, and the attack before they really occur. So we can allow saying like proactive like security measure. So this one really helpful like for proactive measure. Okay. And there's some use case we can use to like apply in the IoT security, like the intrusion detection, so we can analyze the network traffic, and then including some abnormal behavior, including the DDoS, right? Also some unauthorized access or some device behavior like monitor. Okay, so we can monitor those like IoT device smart things if they have some unusual patterns. Okay, and the more energy consumption, that means they have a process require more power. That means they doing calculation capture more on time. Okay, or more busy data transmission. Okay, so they maybe the signal like compromise the device. Okay, or we can automate some response system. So we can try to trigger some automated defense. Okay, so isolating the infected device, we can block some malicious traffic without human intervention like this. So this really helpful. Um, of course, we do have the challenge. Okay, so including the data privacy because they have to collect and analyze those amount of data. Okay, so from the IoT device, so it may raise some privacy concern. So it's a trade-off. Like if you want to be more smart, then we maybe need to train with some sensitive sector of like healthcare, financing data, all this. Okay, so we need to be careful, and also the scalability if we need to train the machine learning model, so on a really larger diverse data set, so it can make more computation expensive and time consuming. So if you know recently, this was from OpenAI say, okay, so if you seems that being, some people they pretty polite to um the the AI, okay, they say, okay, thank you, like please doing this. Even you typing thank you, it also consumes, okay, the processing power, okay, of the AI. So they say, so you need to think about this, okay. And see. And also we have some examples that we can use the dark trace. So it can use the power AI powered algorithm to automatically like detect and respond to cyber threats in real time. So it can learn some traffic like the network traffic so pattern. So we can identify okay anomalies, and also we can improving the response time and reduce the false positive. Okay. So this is what we where we like sometimes they should be negative. Okay, and then they just say, okay, it's a threat, it's a false positive. Because once we say it's the false positive, that means okay, the thing is some malicious, okay, or abnormal behavior. Okay, so then we put in quarantine, stop it. Okay, so it affects the performance. Okay, and stability right here. Also, we have the Cisco's one. Okay, the cognitive threat analytics. So we use the machine learning to monitor the network behavior. We can identify some like early sign of attack or the breaches. Okay, so significantly we can improving the response time. So it's really helpful. So we're more maybe using in the healthcare. Okay, so detect the pacemaker or insulin pumps, or they can like detect a cyber attack, and also the smart home. Okay, so how can they um integrate with those like security devices, so we can detect some unauthorized access attempt, tampering, okay, with some like cameras, change in the device behavior, all this, so we can apply AI and machine learning in the IoT securities. And when we really like move on to the quantum, okay, security, like for IoT, then we will ask a question. So first, what's the quantum computer? Okay, so we're here, we're giving you some background, like what's the is the harnesses of the principle like quantum mechanics. Okay, so to solve the problem, so they are like integrable for the classical computer. Okay, so it can often expand exponential like increase in processing power. This idea. Then how can apply like or like it give you what kind of impact say on the IoT security? Because we say we have the potentially increasing the processing power, that means they can break many of the cryptographic protocol, right? Nowadays, like are we using a RSA, okay, ECC, or this, okay, or we can do some undermining the security IoT communication and data, okay. Most of the attacker, they just give up because it takes too long, okay? But if we using apply the quantum computer, okay, it may be for some like breaking the RSA encryption, it may take like let's say for some possibility it depends on the hardware, okay, processing power, but I just assume okay, it may take a month, okay, to break the cryptographic protocol. But when we have quantum computer, just 1 day, okay. Then all this encryption, all the communication um encryption method, they're not um useful anymore. Okay, then we need to think about this is really challenge for the traditional encryption technique. Okay, like this. Even we introduce the public key private key, remember, so the asymmetric, the RSA. So and if in case the quantum computer able to break it, okay, then is there any new way? So we have to quickly to implement or like introduce a new mechanism encryption technique. Okay, or maybe we can use the quantum computer to enhance the level, okay, increase the difficulty, okay, for the encryption. And we can use the called quantum safe cryptography. Okay, so it's a kind of post-quantum cryptography like this. So it can called a PQC. Okay, so this algorithm can like resistant to the quantum computing attack. Maybe we can decide to replace some like current encryption standards like RSA. Okay, so it's possible it's one of direction, or the quantum key distribution. Okay, is about the we call it QKD. Okay, so it can be the method to securely exchange the cryptographic key using the quantum mechanism, so we can ensure that the key they cannot like intercept without detection or this. So you can see the ideas are pretty similar um to the like based on the like AI or machine learning. Okay, so it can be a good tool to help, okay, for detection, okay, prevention, but also we can use attacker can use it to like attack, okay, or maybe become identity thief, okay. But using quantum computer, yes, like from the black side, then we will think, okay, uh, they can use the quantum computer to break all the current traditional encryption method. But from the for the defender, okay, and then how can we use the quantum like computer like to um giving resistance, okay, so to prevent the attack. So we can also doing this one pose and then for the key distribution, so we can apply the quantum safe cryptography. And maybe there are some real world case that we can talk about, like quantum security. So in China, there's a quantum communication satellites. So China already deployed the world first quantum communication satellites. Okay, so it can facilitate some like ultra secure communication for the quantum encryption. It can be the foundation for the future IoT security solution. So it's one of our idea, or the quantum resistance standard development. So the National Institute of Standard of Technology, the NIST. So we have so it's also working on it, develop the quantum resistant cryptographic standard right here, and will eventually be used in the IoT device. Okay, so it's possible. And one of the limitation, because we always talk about like IoT device, because sometimes because the hardware limitation power, so we can apply. Okay, then how can we use like those like quantum resistance standards? Okay, how can we implement develop after the development? How can we implement and use it in those like low power concentrated IoT device? Okay, then that's the next question. Okay. And also we have the quantum safe networking. Okay, so maybe we can use the encryption, enable some ultra secure communication between the IoT device server. That is possible if we're using this one, we're using a key and then let the maybe API server and node, so they are able, okay, so to use those like quantum encryption cryptography, so it can maybe like virtually impossible for attacker to intercept or alter data. So it's the idea we can apply. And when we talk about the integration, okay, how can we, or like using AI, machine learning, and then quantum security in IoT or smart things we talk. So we can maybe have some like called the hybrid approach. Okay, how can we use it? So we can use the AI powered like threat detection, and then we can use the quantum safe protocol. Okay, we can see right now we have not no details, but it's more into this idea. Okay, because like quantum computer actually long time we talk about it, but it's like physically we cannot really use it. But after introduce a Willow and maybe when it getting more popular, cheaper, then quantum computing can be really lead to the development more advanced AI model. Okay, it's also possible. So it also can help the identify some like quantum specific vulnerability. So we can use AI to that. So they work together, or we can use the quantum encryption for the IoT device. So in the transition to quantum like resistant algorithm, we can try to apply in the network. So we can AI to monitor and adopt a new form of quantum enabled attack like this. So that means they I believe there's a future, the trend. So it will be like this. If you are interested in this area, or later if you want to do some research related to this, I think it's a pretty good direction. Okay. Um, I think it will be a hot topic, okay, in the future. Especially maybe why not even the like smart city, smart home, okay, or even why not the self-driving vehicle like this, okay. So you know they try to use lots of like different AI machine learning. Then how about can we use the quantum computer? So it's like kind of extend the topic. So if you're interested, then you can use it. But we do have a challenge, right? As say, how can we ensure that like all the IoT device, because we also have a limited computational power. How can we integrate both the AI, quantum resistant cryptography in a scalable or efficient way? So it's the challenge question. So it's open, okay. Even in this one, I cannot give you an answer, okay, in this moment. We have to think or figure out, okay, or like how can we apply in the those like really low processing power IoT device. We can use it, but maybe pass all the calculation like, to more powerful like quantum computer, like maybe the server, API server. Okay, then maybe one of direction can be like this. Or if you remember the edge computing, like we're using some edge device, can edge device can help. Okay, so maybe possible uh, way to solve it. Okay, this type of challenge, but this one is really open topic. Okay, so when we move on like from the AI and the machine learning and quantum computing, so we talk about the 5G. Okay, so 5G, you know, is the fifth generation of the wireless technology. Actually, right now we have the new one. Okay, but we need to know because like 5G for a faster speed and ultra low latency, also it giving the capacity to connect billions of devices. So it can improve the provide the IoT device with the bandwidth net necessary to function in real time, okay, or later actually. Why not? Because it's probably 5G or like later we're using a 6G or later, okay. It's a similar. So when we use it, it's like we as well say it's a low latency because it's more critical because especially for smart things, we say IoT, we highly rely on the real-time communication. Okay, so it's important to have a low latency and also for the massive device connectivities because in reality, like actually there's a vast number, like huge amount for IoT devices, like even every day we want to say up to like a billion. Okay, so how can we allow being like for these like, large scale deployment in smart city, industry, or some like urban infrastructure? Okay, how can we do it? And also how can we give a faster speed? Okay, when we send the data, okay, how can we give it a high speed communication for device. So they require have a large amount of data transfer, like for the smart camera drones, okay, augmented reality, the AR like this application. So all this rely on the 5G. And also, okay, we use the 5G in the enhanced encryption. So how can we use a stronger encryption protocol to reduce the um, risk of data interception during the transmission? And also, we also introduced the edge computing, right? We talking. So for the local data processing, when you process it, before with the low latency, more ID data can be processed in locally at the edge, and we can rather than in like centralize the cloud server. So it can reduce the potential for the cyber attack on a centralized server. So if you remember this one, so it can be because like, if we have a fast transmitting speed, then we don't have to say, okay, we can just process and send it to the data. So we can make it like even real time with like low latency. So we can still get the result or some obtain the data, even the data that processing in the edge computing. So it's a pretty good idea to do it. It's a benefit. Okay. Also, it giving the network slicing, so it can enable some creation of the isolation. Also, the virtual network slicing. Also, we can allow some like critical IoT applications, mainly like for the healthcare, autonomous vehicle to operate securely without the interference. Okay, from the non-critical device like this, so it can slice it. So giving a virtual network. So it's also another type of benefits can 5G bring to the IoT. Okay. Um, but here one thing is like when we have 5G, if you remember we talked about the attack surface, right? Then before we have a check the top, right? So actually, when we have 5G and also we have edge computing, that means that it's exposing all these IoT device and connections, and they'll be enabled by the 5G, right? So all these like attack surface increase, so it's make it more difficult to secure every endpoint. So it's a pros and cons, good and bad. So it comes together. We need to think about this question. Okay. And what's the making a balance? Okay. And also the 5G will need to implement some advanced authentication techniques like to prevent some the unauthorized access to device, because you're just thinking like all the end computing that connect to the IoT devices. Okay, they allowed you because when they connect to 5G, that means that we can directly access to it. Okay, so if we're able to scan those devices and then we can connect to it, okay, then how can we make sure like enhance more like um the authentication techniques is more important. And also we try to introduce the zero trust model. Okay, um actually, this one is the topic we cover in cybersecurity, and later we talk about the like introduce a bit of it, and also zero trust model. Like we try to trust no device or user by default in the beginning, and then we control the authority is required, so we can use it for 5G. I think also, when we have low latency and fast enough, and then we can apply the zero trust model, using the 5G too. Okay, and also, we have the supply chain risk too, because the complexity of 5G infrastructure. So maybe there are multiple vendors and technologies will be involved inside. So when they involve, then they will introduce some new risk in terms of vulnerability within the third-party equipment or software. So here's the issue. Okay, so it's like really because there is a chain. Okay, so when we need to add it to the infrastructure, then we create other risk vulnerability. So there's a follow up. We have to fix it and solve it. Okay, and this we can foresee it, but how can we prevent it is another question and challenge. Just like giving some study and example, okay, case like let's say in the smart city we're using, so when there's the high speed data exchange between the sensor, camera, device, all this, so we can allow, okay, for some like real-time monitoring or like decision making, okay, maybe the smart traffic management, okay, so we can capture, okay, you see maybe in the traffic light, you know certain direction, okay, have not that busy or like in some peak hour, okay, or for some public safety, like some passengers, okay, they need to work for all this, then we can use it. or the autonomous like vehicles. Okay, so we can give it really ultra low latency. So we can enable a vehicle to communicate with each others and maybe with the infrastructure to avoid the accidents and traffic conjunction like this. Okay, maybe we in right now they're still using sensor radar to detect what's nearby. But if you have the using the 5G, so they're giving the position like location using GPS and data sharing each other. So we can use the calculation or you know, okay, so maybe how far away, the speed, okay, so it makes coming. So based on something they scanning nearby, they already can foresee or something actually there's a map and then just like they sending all their location, okay, their speed, all this data, okay, their condition and then share to each other. So, but when we working in this one, they share information, then we need to have a really strong giving a strong security mechanism. So it's more like crucial, like this prevent the attack on the critical system. If let's say we share, then we know next week code is moving to there. So if the attack can man in the middle, able to steal the information or they modify, okay, maybe based on this system, okay, so maybe we know there's a car is like coming away or like maybe 10 minutes later it's getting closer. Okay. But I didn't report it or change from 10 minutes to maybe 1 hour. Okay. So it may cause a collision. Okay. It may not able to slow down. So it may be the issue. So we need to think about it. Also in industrial, we talk about the IoT, industrial IoT. So we can use it to enable like secure real-time monitoring or control of industrial systems. And finally, we can helping improve our operation safety and security. So that's one of the idea we can do. Um, some future security topic using it autonomous the IoT. So we talk about autonomous IoT refer to like some device or system capable of like independent decision making. Okay, so kind of like often leveraging the AI and machine learning. Okay, so including self-driving car, like drone, all this must be as we mentioned before in this case. So the challenge we need to make sure is that how can they operate securely without human interventions? Okay, how can they increase their neutrality? Because it will like cause the neutrality to attack. So can go like undetected for a long period. So sometimes we have the 0 day. Okay, if you remember 0 day. So here's the challenge we have to fix it. And as say for the driving car, self-driving car, so the vehicle can make the decision based on real-time data without any like human input or the smart city. So how can they automatically like manage the traffic, proper utility, even the security, all these like how can use the autonomous IoT. Okay, and one of the things that actually for the self-driving vehicle, so there's running for the called the vehicle to everything V2X, okay, or something with V2V communication, but this one make it short. So just like V2X communication is telling vehicle, so they need to communicate with each other's infrastructure cloud systems, okay, and they will like intercepting or spoofing this communication. So have the catastrophic like consequence like this, okay. So we need to think it, and also sometimes they have like sensor the manipulation. Okay, so maybe yeah they really like rely heavily on the sensor, so the LDR or the cameras, all this to make the decision. So once they're being hacked, okay, so like based on the hacking or disrupting this sensor, maybe lead to the accidents. Okay, so that's really serious problem. So we need to think about this type of challenge. And also like in the smart city, so thinking for because the infrastructure, how can we like protect it? So maybe some services including transportation, electricity, healthcare. So they like could be like prioritize the entire city. So that's why we need to be careful. Also the privacy concern we need to think about because they may monitor all the citizens, like all the people, humans, the activities. So it may we the silicon like privacy or surveillance issues like this. Okay, so how can we making the balance? Okay, trade-off. Okay, when you lose more privacy, sometimes when you think okay, under monitoring, so when you're feeling okay, sometimes it's making things convenient. Okay, and easier, but maybe you're losing your freedom. So you need to think about it. Okay, your personal privacy. And some like use case like telling you, or let's say some key risks. If we are hacking, maybe the attacker can control the vehicle navigation, steering, or the braking system. Okay, so or data privacy, including the self-driving, maybe the sensitive data such as your location, travel habit, you're going. So it's maybe exposed by some the cyber criminals, okay, like this, or the communication ability when we talk about the V2X communication protocol. So maybe the attacker able to send some like false signal to the vehicle. So suppose you should stop, but it just can keep going. So all this, and maybe we can use some also some security measures. Okay, if you remember, we tried to learn about blockchain. Okay, so blockchain for the data integrity, so we can use it to ensure the data transmission between vehicle infrastructure. Okay, or like tamper proof. Okay, so if you remember blockchain everywhere, we can say maybe all the vehicles. Okay, so they can work as a blockchain. Okay, so once you change one vehicle's information, but once they try to match with the data integrity, okay, other vehicles, they say, okay, this one is being altered, is not correct. They can maybe we're using apply some AI machine learning to like modify. Okay, it's okay. Or we can giving a really advanced encryption. Okay, we can protect the communication between vehicles. You can some like quantum safe encryption, secure the V2X protocol. So it's the possible direction. Okay, we can apply. Okay. And also the risk is that surveillance or privacy we talk about, because when we have a deployment of sensor, okay, also the cameras in the smart city, so we say maybe lead to the privacy violation too. Okay, maybe based on the current the regulation policy, okay, or this maybe they're not matched, or there's some like called as between cyber physical attack. So it's the idea. So they maybe disrupt of like the physical infrastructure. Okay, maybe the water supply, the electricity like group like this through the cyber attack. So they can devastating the consequence like this. They're all possible. So we need to think about all these like risk. Okay, and how can we use the techniques we can provide by the mergers, then maybe the zero trust architecture. So we try to adopting this idea, never trust, always verify. Okay, so the model, it may be helpful. So every device and user must prove their identity continuously. Okay, that may be good. Maybe when we have low latency real time, then we can do it. Okay, verify the identity. Okay, when we require the access, and also for the edge computing. So when we process data at the source, or we say on the edge, then to reduce the risk of the centralized system being like compromised like this. So they're all possible way and direction like to increase the security on the IoT. And just like giving more like something related to the autonomous um the IoT and privacy concerns right here. Um including the data collection or surveillance. So maybe because it needs the system will continuously like gathering data, then maybe like used for the tracking individuals, screen the detailed profile, even for some unauthorized surveillance like this. So like, and also we do have some ethical consideration. Like who owns the data? Okay, so do you believe government, third party? Okay, so like how can we think about once they collect data without expressing the consent from the individuals? Okay, so it may be raising the ethical and legal concern. Is that perfect? And also maybe the security of personal information. So how can we ensure, okay, the personal data that protect against the breaches, or that you have data respects the individual privacy rights like this? Because you see right now actually happening. Okay, um built in different even we try to apply different types of security issue, but it's still happening. That how can we protect the personal information? So it's another huge topic. Okay. Um quickly we went through all this content. So we talk about some like IoT security standard I would because I put it as a page 3, there's a lot. Okay, so you can look at it. So including different type of standards and regulation. And then we'll move on. So how can emerging the security technology? Okay, this is one we mainly focus. How can we use the AI and machine learning to detect the threat state in real time, and then how can we apply the maybe the quantum technology like in the security? Okay, maybe this one with the frontier in the encryption for the IoT. Okay, and maybe how can we use the 5G network for the IoT connection and security? Okay, well later when we comes out of 6G, okay, then it will be another story. Okay, and but it will be easy. And also there's a challenge because I think for the IoT, because we're going to the autonomous IoT, right? Okay, um then what's the security privacy issue? Okay, related to it. So it's the big questions. Okay, we have to think about it. Um, last part, just like giving you the scenario, just thinking if you need to work on the like smart city. Okay, like this they have a self-driving vehicle, maybe later have a drone. Okay, so maybe they using a drone to deliver the package. Okay, so or like connect to the infrastructure. So why not this? So if you are tasked with design IT security solution and address the data privacy, system integrity, or an over safety, then how are you going to work on this one? So you can think about this one. Okay, just a question open to you. And um, by the end of this part, I would like to share another one about. Let me open related to the regulation. So I can share it. Let me share it to you. Okay. So this one is the some related to, it's a really long page. Okay, but it's not the main focus is related to some like security standards and policy and regulation. When we talk about the cybersecurity and coverage, so we just need to know like what are these security policy. Okay, you don't have to memorize all of it, but you just need to know like what they are using it. So why the role of the standards and regulation like is important, because they are not like mitigate solely by the manufacturer. So all these regulation standard can ensure the accountability across the ecosystem like this. And there's a key idea, and just like giving you some like different type of standards, and then we have the global standards like including ISO, NIST, ETSI. So all these like have a created by all the organizations. So giving standards, um I try to give some like categorize that, including the security, privacy, and then the interoperabilities, all these um just like giving you a long list, okay, including different types of say what's the ISO IC like 30141. Okay, so it give you some reference the architecture right here. You don't have to really memorize it, but just like telling at least like one by one. Okay, so what's the standard and then what's the key features? Okay, we describe how these like components interact, or like this one would be the 30141 is doing. Okay, and then maybe we have other like working in the application, okay, or sometimes we talk about SP at 800.53, and then what's this one is working, maybe like adopted in the firmware in US, okay, provide some guideline for management security privacy across the federal system like this, okay. So you just have some idea, and then for different organization, so they were giving the different policy, okay, so or standards we can use. Okay, sometimes they will telling us the security control, including access control, instance response, okay, or some like system and communication protection like this, what they try to ensure. And just like giving one more, the ETSI, so it also giving you, so it's the European telecommunication standard, okay, institute giving is, okay, so what's the cybersecurity requirement for consumer IoT device, okay, and also based on how can they secure it, and then what's the authentication, they try to avoid the some default password and use some secure authentication method like this. So for the industry, okay, manufacturer, vendor, they have to like follow all these like policy and standards. So I give you a comparison like where they from, and then just like telling what they're mainly doing, and just like go down, and then also have some discussion related to those like standards that align the real world in the IoT system needs. And also we have like more details talking about the GDPR or CCPA or this one. So related to data protection, privacy regulation, or some cybersecurity regulation too. So I'm giving you some lists right here. We talk about the GDPR as the European Union regulation that like so like govern the collection, storage, and use of the personal data like this. And it will telling sometimes for the data minimization, so they request they collect only some necessary amount of personal data, okay, and also only the right to access or erasure like this, so they can able to access the data, or request is the deletion, okay, and personally more the CCPA, the California Consumer Privacy Act. So this one is the privacy law in California. So it granted the customer right over their personal data. So we talk about it. So and it's just giving like the consumer, they we should have a right to know, to delete, or non-discrimination of it. So the consumer can exercise their right. Okay, they must not be like faced on discrimination law all this. So just have some idea. Okay, so you don't have to memorize all this, just need to have some difference. Okay, if you're interested, so you can feel free to look into all these slides, and it won't you have some basic idea. Okay, so of course maybe I will, if you ask, I'm not really asking what's the policy, what's the numbers of what's doing, but I'll have a basic concept. You just need to know. For more like details like this for discussion, or like for the reason, then you don't have to memorize. For this one, it's just like extra for your personal interest. Okay, if you want to see more, then you can look into it. Okay, I'm not really like go into details, but just if you want to see, then you can look at these slides. Okay, and quickly go down right here, like what's the benefit of bringing all this, and then try to summarize it. So that's it for our smart things and security. So wish you, maybe you're busy on your project, and then thinking, okay, so wish you can everything goes smoothly. Okay, and for the we have the online exam. Okay, so we have an online exam. After the reading week, there's a break, so we have no more lecture. And come back, I will make it still same, just similar to the midterm. So I will have a online final exam, so it will be available for a week. Okay, so let me know in case you have some like issue, then you cannot like do it. Just try to take the exam earlier, or if there's some like mistake or anything, you can send me an email, give me a notice. Okay, and I try to like from my side, I try to help you. Okay, and just have a good one, and hope you enjoy it. Okay, thank you.